how to create a dynamic sum formula in Excel to update automatically whenever I filter my dataset, as you can see right here. This sum formula is only going to adapt the filtered values, and the rows that are hidden are not going to be included in my calculation. So this is a very simple way to create analysis in Excel. And the formula that we are going to use is not the sum function. However, we are going to use subtotal. That is a very handy formula that you must learn. The first thing that we need to have is a data set. And in this case, I'm using a purchasing data set. However, you can use any different type of data set because it's going to work. So with this purchasing data set, I'm going to use the subtotal function to help me. Of course, I could use the dataset itself like the way it is. However, I think it's very important to format this dataset as a table because a table has many different benefits that I'm going to show you. So first of all, click, hold, and drag to select the entire dataset until the last row. Okay, like this. Now we can go to Insert tab and then choose Table. This is the tool that we're going to use. My table has headers, of course it has, as we can see, date, product, quantity, and so on. Okay, now we already got here a table in Excel, and one of the main benefits to use a table is whenever you input a new data, the table is going to automatically include this new information to the table itself. And also the range that you are using, the numbers, the range, are going to automatically be updated. But anyway, now how can I use the subtotal formula here in Excel? I can use to the right on those blank cells, or I can create a blank space above my table to use the subtotal. And this is exactly what I'm going to do. So let's click on our number one here to the left, the row, the first one, click to select the entire row, and then right click, insert. I'm going to do it more couple times, maybe like this. Okay, now we have enough space. Let's say I want to adapt the total price. So what I can do is, in the cell above, I can click in the cell, and I can start with equals sign subtotal. It's very important to write the name of the formula properly, because that way you can see this little tag here, and you can double click 1, 2. Okay, now we already are within the subtotal formula, and we can do many different calculations, such as average, count, maximum, minimum, product, and so on. However, for this video, I want to stick with sum. Let me double click to make sure I can select this option, 1, 2. Okay, now let's hit comma to move to the second argument, that is the reference. However, what is that? It's the range, the cells that you want to use. Let me click in this white tag, white message, click and hold to the left, let's say. Okay, because now what I can do is I can select the entire column that I have, total price. I can do it either click, hold, and drag down, or if you prefer, you can click in the column name, because that way you can see a black down arrow pointing down. So you can click right here, because that way Excel is going to select the entire column and then enter. Okay, we're done. This is how it works. Of course, we can do some little changes here, such as we are using currency, money. So of course, you can format the number as a currency. My Excel is very clever, so it's already using a currency format. However, if your Excel is not very clever, you can go to the Home tab, and here you can find, instead of general, you can use number, currency, date, and so on. Let me stick with currency. I can also decrease the decimal numbers, decimal places. This is what I'm going to do. And also I want to increase the number, the font size, to make it easier to see. And I can also change the fill color to a different one and put everything in bold. That's it. Now, every time I filter my data set, let's say I want to only check for the supplier A01, I'm going to hit enter. As we can notice, automatically the subtotal function is going to update, and the result is only include the values that we can see. All the values that are hidden are not going to be calculated. Let me try another thing. Let me clear this filter. Now I want to do the same thing, however, for the quantity. I can do everything again, so equal sign, subtotal, and so on. However, as we are using a table in Excel, we have here the reference, the name of the column that we are using. So what I can do is I can only change this name right here. So it's much easier. So let me see this example. Escape to get out of the cell. Now let me copy this cell using Ctrl+C to copy. And then I can click over quantity or above the quantity, right? And then Ctrl+V to paste. Of course, we are going to copy and paste everything, the format, the reference, and everything else. But let me double click in this formula, 1, 2. Instead of using the total price within those square brackets, I can click, hold, and drag within the name. And I can change the name to quantity. Okay, this is the name that I want to use, the name of the columns. Excel is going to show the tag. 1, 2, enter. Okay, however, it's not dollars. It's a number, so let me change to number and get rid of the decimal places like this. Now we have two subtotals, one for the quantity, another for the total price. And all those subtotals are working properly, as we can see right here. That's it. So this is how we can create subtotal in Excel, and also how to copy and paste to other columns too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to the next videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you in the next one.